Okay, wait, but everybody else, please post it in the chat if you have things you want me to cover or situations, but otherwise I'm going to just get into it. So essentially, I don't know if anybody's seen, I have some slides that are what I call my LinkedIn hacks slides. And I've been teaching this like in Leopard forever. There's a longer version if anybody wants it, but I tried to boil them down to be the key pieces of information that you need when you are doing outreach that's beyond stuff that we send you or applications, etc. And so these are not only hacks that I like recommend objectively, but these are tactics that the Leopard team uses every week at a large volume in order to get the majority of our clients. So that's the insight. That's where we're getting this from. I don't like to say that all over the internet because then people might copy us. And I also don't like to put this content all over the internet because if everyone does it, it doesn't work as well, right? That's the whole thing with this type of outreach. And it also really doesn't objectively help our business to explain this, but I do it because I think it's the right thing to do. We're actually sort of showing you how to go get clients that, or, you know, how to get roles outside of Leopard, which like our whole business is to get you roles inside of Leopard. But again, I still think it's the right thing to do. And I think it's really good info. And I think it will work out in the long run. But it is good to make sure you ask questions because a lot of people, we covered this a little bit last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. I forgot who was asking. And they thought that they were following the process, but they were missing a piece here and there. And if you don't use all the pieces in conjunction, it doesn't really work. So again, there's lots of different ways to do it, but you have to, there's some key aspects to this that if you do it 40% and you wonder why it's not working, it's because it's only 40% and you really have to get closer to 80 to 90 to 100% of using it in order to get it to work. Okay, so welcome to LinkedIn hacks. The gist is that applying to jobs sucks, right? Jordan and I used to work for this company, AngelList. We built a recruiting business on top of the job site. And one of the main things, the main reasons people used our site was because applications didn't really work in either direction. Companies would post a job, they'd get hundreds of applications and they'd be too junior or they wouldn't have the right tech stack or they wouldn't, you know, just generally you get a lot of unqualified applicants whenever you post a job. And so then it's this black hole for candidates because it's really hard to stand out through the method that has so many unqualified candidates. So yeah, tons of competition if you're applying the traditional way to jobs, hard to stand out, and the likelihood is high that you're going to get passed over. I don't know. Again, I like this to be interactive so I don't feel like I'm talking at a wall. Please emoji if this has been your experience thus far applying for jobs. Some sort of emoji. Oh, Nadine. Very, yes, that's good. I didn't say just, I said any emotion that expresses your feelings, 100%. Okay, applying to jobs sucks. We don't really like that model at Leopard. We love this LinkedIn connection request model. I use this one, which was an event invitation, because I think it's actually a really kind of clear call to action in a way that stands out. And of course, we're talking about applying for jobs or getting job leads, which isn't exactly the same, but I will show more templates. But I like to start here because you can see in this message that we packed in like 25 good things into 300 characters or less, so that anybody who gets this message, who's usually tends to be a senior software engineer, learns a lot about what Leopard does, that we have an event, when the event is, and how to act next. And I think it's really good message. what do people think of this message? What do they like about it? What do they not like about it? Write in the comments. And then I'll keep going and showing you how to write this type of message, where to put it, how many you need to send. But I like to just look at it without all that context and be like, what do we like? Because it's easy to forget what it looks like on the other side and when you're sending them. Can people give me their thoughts?
Well, what kind of thoughts?
Do you like this message? Do you not like this message? Yeah.
So you're putting this in your LinkedIn connection request, right?
Yeah. Whenever we throw an event, we didn't do as much for you with the LA one, but we actually, this is how we do LA. This is how we do as local city, is we add people with this kind of message who don't know anything about us as a way to get more people. Oh, nice. Okay. Targeted, friendly, TLDR, you know who's messaging you, specific. Yep, totally agree. Just any adjectives, things you like or don't like about this message. Assume you don't even really know anything besides looking at the message. Anybody else? You can talk out loud as well. Personalize if they're in that location, 100%. Anybody else? Anything else? Says what you do. Yep, totally. Anyone else? It gets immediately to the point. If you don't know what someone wants, you might not read the full message. 100%. Anything else? Anybody else? It's not solicitive, totally. It's trying to be really direct, but not pushing people to do stuff that they don't want to do, which so much of LinkedIn, you'll see, I mean, so much of this is like pushing you to take a meeting that you don't want to take yet. Yeah, LinkedIn is hella spam. Not too formal, 100%. Lots of info, packed, actionable. Totally. Anybody else have anything? And then I'll move forward into the reasons, like how we structure it and why we like it. Anybody else who hasn't commented yet? I'll come back. Okay, I think you get the gist. Thumbs up if you get the gist. Cool. Okay. There we go. Yeah, a few things that I like in addition to everything you all said. I thought that was super spot on. I think that goes to Nadine's. So adding your face to outreach, believe it or not, I mean, that's sort of like, how do we feel about that? I don't know. But like you see that it's a person. Actually, this is a bad example of that. But right, you see it's a person. They're reaching out. It's not just like random noise. A clever note can make it stand out in the sea of generic applications, or just it's a different channel to stand out. What Nadine said, right? It allows the person to opt in. They can read the information and say, yes, this looks relevant to me before they engage and they're getting contacted. And then you can also see mutual connections. It's a great thing that is about LinkedIn, is that it sort of automatically personalizes who you are to that person to make it most relevant at the time. And so just in terms of the how, everybody knows how to do this, right? This is when you send a connection request, you add a note, which, to answer your question, Aaron, is not the same as an in-mail. So this is under that like basic premium. The only, like when you have a free LinkedIn account, you can only see a very limited number of connections or something like that. And so we upgrade like one bump up, and then we can see enough, we can send enough invitations, we can see enough profiles. So I'll go double check on exactly. Yeah, exactly. You get like basically nothing on a free account, but the one level up, you can send like over 100 of these per week. And so, which is what we will recommend. Okay, so when we're drafting a LinkedIn connection note, we try to check a lot of boxes really quickly, which is again why I showed that example. We're trying to make it clear why we're connecting. We're trying to be concise, show value, 300 characters max, that all that fits, and to be personal or quirky. Oh, I'll get to read that in a second. So just back to this. It's clear why we're connecting. It's concise. It shows value. And it's kind of personal and kind of quirky. Yeah, okay. So we'll come back to that list, but I'm just going to show you all like what my LinkedIn looks like. hiring managers, it's like whenever you have a role, it's its own kind of crazy hell. But my LinkedIn, I'm, now the CEO of a company that like has a website, which means I get every single product sold to me that like people think I would buy. And it's not personal. It's not quirky. It's not showing me the value. It's just trying to jam their need at me. And it's also just sort of spammy and I don't like it. And so I ignore most of these. But when I get one that's actually at all personalized, honestly, I read it to look for personalization. Even that level, I still scan it to see if there's something relevant to me. But these are generally the issues, right? Who is this person? Why is this relevant to me? This must be spam or selling me something I don't need. I'll just ignore it, right? So let's just read that through one more time. Who is this person? I don't know. Why is this relevant to me? I don't know. This just feels like spam because I haven't gotten those two things. Ignore. Okay, you, not a spammer. This is where people were sort of missing it a little bit. They're hitting half, they're hitting one, not enough. If you don't hit number 2 and 3, it doesn't work, in my opinion. I get a lot of, you'll see a lot of people just doing number 1. But as soon as you can think of number 2 or 3, ideally and, you are going 90% further than most applicants because they don't tailor. So my skills are this, I can help in this way, this is relevant because X, and all of that makes it look really different than spam really quickly. And, responding might be worth it, might not, but at least I have enough info to feel comfortable moving forward. Totally. Exactly, Nadine, right? So that little like common connection thing also, it just shows like you're a real person. Okay, I'm going to get to that in a second. Who would we send this to? Hiring manager after applying for a job. I actually have a bunch of templates and a bunch of ways to find who's. But hiring manager after applying for a job, I actually think it's the inverse. I think we're going after hiring managers we want to work for. So we're looking for people who might be able to get us in the process for a job. Other questions before I get into the how? I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss Erin's. You as a candidate are trying to find somebody at a company. How do you identify the hiring manager? Yep, I covered that in the next section. I didn't cover it yet, sorry. Harder to do with a bigger company. I can show you that. I've gone through warm leads of folks I know who work somewhere and ask them to refer to the hiring manager. Yes, that is totally spot on. Different companies have different models. Yep. And then the second piece was I know premium pay for some out of account. Yeah. Erin, a lot of people, like our method is very hacking. It's very not the paid thing with LinkedIn InMails and all this stuff, but I actually find that it's good. LinkedIn InMails sort of read spammy. I wish they didn't. They do. So turns out the free way is better. Not free, the lower cost way. Okay, so I have 2 sections now. I'm going to get into how to find leads, and then I'm going to get into templates. I probably maybe should switch these, but whatever. We're just going to do it. I can cut it up after. So to answer the question that's in the chat a couple times, finding good leads. So in some ways, leads, like Erin, you made a good point around, do I reach out to the exact hiring manager? Do I reach out to the talent acquisition team? Do I reach out to somebody I know to get a referral? The answer is sort of all of the above, but it's good because you have over 100 connections available per week, so you can always hit a few people on the team at the same time and see if you get any movement. You don't want to hit every single employee there. We'll show you some different ways to like triangulate into the right person at the right time, but we get clients in all sorts of different ways. I would say that talent is sort of a bad place to start, like the talent, like the recruiter, head of recruiting. It seems like they'd be a good place to start, especially if they post the job. And on sometimes it's the perfect place to start, but I also just assume that they get the most messages. So we try to find this is an example. We try to find people who feel the pain of what we're sending message-wise and are more likely to reply for some reason and are able to move things through. But it just takes a lot of experimentation. And the goal is to just send enough that you get a bite and you learn about what's converting with you at a given moment in time, right? Like I learned we built an engineering leaders community. And when I would tell them they could be a mentor in the community, didn't hit. When I told them they could do job site search with us, didn't hit. When I told them they could hire with us, didn't hit. The only message that hit was this like strange combination of all three and saying, I can explain it all in a short call. So you have to keep messing around with it or it doesn't, there's no solution that's perfect. But here I'm just gonna, so I'll come back to this list in a second, but I basically have a bunch of search queries that you can use to find some sort of potential lead, right? And we'll call a lead anyone that might be able to help. And so we're going to start with this one. So generally speaking, sometimes we have good luck when a company has posted their job on like an engineering job on LinkedIn, but sometimes they have openings that are unlisted. And honestly, our team goes back and forth with which audience is better. Overwhelmingly, second degree connections and first degree connections do the best. And so you should go through those first, especially if there is a role and you have those mutual connections like you can see on that patch one, right? These go really well, especially if you message one of these folks. But to start, I put in the job, right? I put in to search software engineering startup. And then instead of going to, oh, this was the jobs, but instead of just clicking save and apply, I went to people and sent connection requests that way. So in that case, we sent it to Mitch, but we would also probably send it to Gabriella because she's another interesting potential way in. And maybe there's a different angle. Maybe she wants to help, work with Leopard to increase the pipeline and make it more diverse or get more women in the pipeline or non-binary folks. So those are sort of different ways when you see a job to get in touch. And then I have some more that I actually just do as searches, right? You'll see there's the way to do it where you search by job and then you look for people. And then there's like good keyword searches to find points of contact. And that's why I kind of just don't answer that. I don't answer that question of like, what's the right point of contact? Because we just need enough maybes. You need enough maybes to get enough pipeline to hopefully get a couple bites out of a good hour or so of prospecting and sourcing. This is all making sense. Can people pop in and tell me if I'm on the right track of explaining this, if I should go back and explain certain things more? Cool. Anybody else? Emoji something. Thank you. Okay, cool.
Lexi,
yeah.
Clarify. So I used to have LinkedIn Premium. I have like a regular account now. I was thinking about upgrading, but you said a lot of this, could you do this with a free account that's not LinkedIn Premium, like when you're adding people and sending the note, as opposed to paying for like a different version of LinkedIn?
You'll just get blocked at a certain number of connections and then they'll tell you what to upgrade, but it's just the second upgrade. It's the lowest cost one.
Got it.
It's not, there's like multiple tiers and some of them will try to get you to do Sales Navigator or Recruiter Lite. We just have a regular premium, I think.
Got it. Thanks for clarifying.
Sure. Any other questions? Is this method making sense? These are less about like talking points. I'm kind of just talking through what all the images are on the screen and then go back and copy the searches, right? Whatever I circled in red, copy it, stick it into LinkedIn and do it. That's why I say the more you follow it, the more it works. If you're like, oh, well, I got the gist that I need to show value, but I can't fit it. And so I cut it down to something that sounds like me, but it has less info. That might not work. If you're not doing enough searches, that might not work. So it's just about using all the combos in the most personalized way possible and seeing if you can get some bites. Okay, head of engineering, React. This one's great when we're trying to look for specific skill sets, right? Like Golang or, the reason I would say that one's even better when it's for a specific function. So we talked to a lot of like iOS folks or data engineering, and we don't get enough roles for them on a regular basis. And so we'll say, hey, look for a head of engineering with iOS in the background, or in their background. Maybe they did iOS before, because then the likelihood is that the company has some mobile element to it if they got hired as the head of engineering. You're looking for little ins, you're looking for overlap, common ground. What else do we have here? Oh yeah, another common ground. Did they go to your college? It's so annoying that it works, but it does. Also, boot camp. If you went to a boot camp and you could look up boot camp alum and you mention it, we have some titles for, or some templates for that. Bonus, this is actually a Google search. This isn't a normal Crunchbase search. So Crunchbase makes you pay. They paywall it all over the place. If you search Crunchbase healthcare startups NYC in Google, you're going to get a little list in Google, and you can get some company ideas. And their trend score is actually pretty good. It usually means that there's some article about them or a funding round. It does mean they might be getting a little more attention and you're competing versus a company that doesn't have any recent momentum, but I think that's good for prioritizations. You probably want to go after companies with new funding. That's usually a good sign when we're doing prospecting. And then, so you grab the company name, you can look at it on there, but we just throw that into LinkedIn and go to the points of contact, right? We don't look for a job. We just hit those people. And then I have templates for that. So I'll go get to those in a second. Also, what did I search here? Oh, I think I probably just searched, oh, I think that was over, no. I think I just searched for like New York City climate tech companies. And then I grabbed things out of the search, and then I, again, we're just trying to generate points of contact to connect. Well-found AngelList. I have to be honest, I don't know the latest in terms of if it's working or not. These things are like really sensitive to market dynamics all the time. Sometimes a platform's really working based on the dynamic of what a company needs and candidate need at the same time. It's probably worth trying everything, right? Anything that's a fit. AngelList tends to lean small companies. So if you, back to the iOS example, if you are doing an iOS job search and you're looking for more companies that have iOS as part of their core product, I think LinkedIn is a really good extension there, right? You could go look for iOS jobs, but you're probably not finding enough that you're happy about, and that this method can give you unlisted roles. That's almost like if you're looking for unlisted roles at companies that look good to you, this is a really good method for that. If you're looking for job postings, try job sites. Okay, here are my templates. They go back, they match the searches. So it's the combo, right? It's I'm a strong candidate and I believe in the company and I would love to help. I'm a strong candidate and I would love to help. It probably could work. I'm a strong candidate and believe in the company. Probably could work. But the three all together, powerful. I'm just giving people a second to read. Do you like this template? Thumbs up if you like it. Jem, did you raise your hand? Oh, okay, okay. Strong candidate. Yeah, I know so my example in these are strong candidate. I use like some of the basic stuff that Leopard pulls out of a job, or sorry, on the resume, right? I don't know if anybody's gotten edits from Jem or wants to take, senior front end in New York City with 6 years of experience. It's not like a perfect angle of like why you're the strongest candidate, but it gives them the core info they need really quickly. And you'll see anytime we edit your resume or give you tips, we do some sort of similar headline at the top. I would just use that. Okay, basically we're like, I'm a strong candidate, here's why, in like the quantifiable sense. And then I'm a big fan of you all, whatever, that's sort of generic, but if you're planning on launching a web app, you probably sort of made it up out of thin air a little bit, but that also, you wouldn't say that if they had a web app. So there's some research done there, right? So I hear you. Yeah, that makes sense. Ahava. Is it Ahava? Ahava?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I think that in your case, like not to go too personal, but you have a really good startup experience. So you could say you're an iOS engineer with multiple years of startup experience. Yep. Okay, I'm going to keep going on these. It's just these are examples, right? You could copy them very closely, or you could kind of take the gist. But what people do unsuccessfully with these templates is they add less context, less info, less juicy, and then they wonder why it doesn't work. It's this, right? It's this. It's also this. But if I got a message like this, I'd be like, wow. Actually, that one specifically, it wouldn't be like that, wow. But if I had a mobile app only, I'd probably be like, wow. Okay, next one. Ugh, the college. It works. I don't know why it works, but it does. People want to know. We know why it works. It's that people feel connected to people with similar experiences, which again is a whole road to go down. This last line I think is sort of interesting, right? It's like I'm always trying to jam a concise but quirky way of saying if you have an opening because it looks handwritten. It looks the opposite of these like auto applies, right? And so sometimes we do this like more templated stuff that's like, I saw you were hiring for a senior software engineer. Let me know if you'd like to see candidates for that. But in reality, it works better when it like looks like I wrote it casually, quickly. So again, that might be different for an applicant, but we can see that it just sort of reads personal. Okay, and just so we know, again, this presentation is more of like a set of slides that speak for themselves rather than a presentation. But the alumni, is this the alumni? The alumni matches the template. So you do this one, and then you use the alumni template. Oh, we're not there yet. Yeah, hit me, Nadine.
Oh, I just wanted to say, one of the things I've noticed is I sometimes get solicitations on LinkedIn, and you can preview the message. When you're previewing the message, when they ask you for a connection request, it only shows like the first 2 lines.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm wondering if you want to stick up like fellow NYU alum at the very top or
That's
something.
super smart. Yeah, totally. The 1 to 2 lines.
Sorry, that's why I raised my hand, because I was like, I don't think.
No,
I'm
I think
this
that's really true. I think that's, let me just like, it's funny that you say that. That's probably right. These are kind of old. I'm just looking. Yeah, you're right.
I don't even know. I don't know how many words it is. It's like it might be a limit on words, or it might be just the first 2 lines. I'm not sure.
The weird thing about these, right? So like somebody did this like connect thing.
Yeah, that's it. It looks like that exactly.
The problem is I just like know there's nothing under there. I have to tweak these because you're right. You only see one, but there's something. Yeah. No, you're right. Ugh, everybody's doing that. You see why the personalization thing is so important? This is where they just all go junky. I don't know.
Well, it's like SEO, right? Like we're constantly having to reinvent the wheel to catch up with the algorithm changing.
Totally. Yeah, no, but you're right about the it really should be stronger in the top line. I'll go back and edit these. Yeah, this should go higher, I think, yeah. Okay. I'm gonna keep going, but I think you're right. I want to edit these after. Okay. Yeah, what is this first line that I have? It's sort of junk. You probably could cut it. I think I'm a senior. You guys see that I'm just putting this little overview qualifier thing again and again. I saw you're hiring. This one's okay. I think it's just getting across that I'm a qualified person. I saw you're hiring. I'd love to tell you more and see if there's a good fit. Oh, this one goes back to yours, Ahava. Oh yeah, this one. I go back and forth, honestly, like weekly with my SDR team about like if we like going for unlisted roles versus listed roles. I don't have the perfect secret sauce. Yeah, you're right, Jem. As long as we get to the stuff in the bold and put it in there. Yeah, I'm gonna redo these. I'm like, I think these are like these slides are like 2 years old and I just like haven't really updated them. But I think there's some like core stuff in there, which is also not bolded. Would love to learn more about you all in case there's ever an opening. I kind of dig this. I actually wish people did this more on some level. I'm like, I don't have time to do a call with you because like I don't have a role. But if people were reaching out to me, like, you know, if a video editor had reached out to me before I posted that I needed a video editor and was like, I saw you all have a YouTube channel and nobody sees it, so I'd love to be in touch in case you ever want to improve it. I would be like, so if I actually think it's sort of fantastic way to present yourself versus when they have an open job, because most people who apply, they just want the open role. They don't do their research. They don't look at anything. They just want the open role. And so if you can say anything that you know beyond the open role, I think it's like way better. These ones also, I used to have these numbers. I don't know where they are. I'll go find them after this, how many you should send per week. But generally, we try to find 2-3 points of contact per company. We try to send 100 per week. Our team has sort of optimized it so they can send up to 170 a week. And then because you have to get a certain number of replies. So you sort of want to look for people who are going to reply and connect. You don't want to hit the hardest person there is to reach and then get a no. So, and then you can also send this sort of stuff in your first degree connection. So you can go send it to people you know. Okay, that's what I've got. Questions? Oh, should you follow up if you don't get a response? Where are my templates on this? That's a great question. I'm going to go drop the longer version. I think this is the version I posted on LinkedIn, but I have your ideal follow-ups. When you follow up on LinkedIn right away, it doesn't really work, but I think that you're basically supposed to follow up with people until you get a no. That's like best practice in the outreach industry, but it's sort of dark. And so if you want to say, thanks so much for connecting, here's my resume, let me know if you have time for a call or something like that, you probably could do that. But I would stick on message, right? Like, or I guess in this case, it wouldn't be like, let me know if you launch a web app. I think you could be like, let me know, here's my resume, let me know if you ever have an open role or something relevant. Additional questions? I'm going to do another version of this presentation at some point with the more of the best practices around how many to send and when and things like that. Yeah, definitely I'll drop the slides for sure. Anybody else? Anything else? Was it helpful? Are people like, I can't handle this many messages, or do they feel like this is a new channel?
I was gonna ask, like, typically how many of these should you be sending out a week if you're applying to, like, I don't know, 100 jobs a week or something like that?
100. But you can do 2 to 3 points of contact per company. Yeah, I would aim for 100. Not because you have to hit 100, but because if you only do 50, it doesn't work. You have to get closer to 100 for it to work. Yep, Candace?
Hi, I would just love your feedback on this because I would like send messages through like InMail on LinkedIn to recruiters, but sorry, not recruiters, recruiters.
Yep.
But I feel like some of them have their like DMs turned off, and so they don't always respond.
Yeah.
Do you consider maybe trying one of these messages as like a connect invite versus like an InMail?
Oh, you missed it. That's what they're all connect invites. That's what we recommend.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong slides. I have my slides open in 2 places. Wait, there was another, this one. Okay. How much research should you put into the person or company? I think it depends on which template you're using, right? I think there are going to be certain templates that you that need more personalization, right? And the more personalized, probably the better. But at the same time, it's just role dependent. If you're a really good fit for the role, I think that that's all you really need to say. I think a lot of personalization looks junky. And so if you don't have something good to say, the like early stage startup one is great, or like being on an iOS team would be great, right? Like I think it's more about the common ground and how you can add value than like all the research on the company. Yep, connect invites, never use email. But I think that yeah, I don't like InMail. We never get conversions. We try, we pay for them. We don't get anything better. Connection invites are it. And it's just about like, you know, the people who have their InMails turned off, they're not going to be the person that helps you, I think. You want people who are sort of open to it, right? And so like, because if they're open to it and they reply, they might be able to help you. And it just means they use LinkedIn in general. So like one insight we learned from having our team reach out to folks on LinkedIn is that we need to find people who check LinkedIn, right? It's so obvious, but it's true. If somebody's super unresponsive on LinkedIn, they're not going to be our point of contact. We need people who read it, right? And so that's sort of something you're looking for is like maybe you land on the software engineer who can refer you in because they've been active trying to help recruit folks for their team. And that's why they're on there, right? Yeah, I don't know. Recruiters are always a tough nut to crack on LinkedIn. They're like overloaded. They want you to go through the system sometimes. They like want you to apply on their system so that they can stay organized. I don't know, but sometimes you catch somebody at the perfect time. So it's still worth throwing them in the mix. But I think that going directly to engineering and kind of asking to be on a team or referral or hitting the CTO, if it's a smaller company, founder, CTO, head of engineering, and saying, I'd love to, you know, talk more about XYZ, I think that can be a really good angle. Other questions? Bye. Yeah, of course. Anybody else? Questions, thoughts? Overwhelmed, underwhelmed? Does it feel like a method? I dropped the slides in Slack. Yep, of course. And I think that, you know, if anybody ever wants to review each other's templates, you can do a little thread. Yep, target goal. Don't hesitate to throw a template in a channel like Job Search Chatter, tag me and anybody else in this group who's like trying to use this. Let's support each other in our editing of our templates. One thing about this is that I use a lot of like LMK, and my team laughs at me about that because I like try to really jam a lot of info in. But if there's one thing you take away from this presentation, it's to jam a lot in. People freak out. They're worried about jamming too much in. Jam it all in there. It's going to work. And show us your templates in Slack. It's fun to review each other's because we all learn from each other's. Is anybody planning on trying this like today or after this, or they're like, okay, now I just know more? If you're planning on doing it today, drop your template in the Slack so we can help. Okay. Anybody else? Anything else? Otherwise, we can hop off. I'm going to do another version where I practice my one-liners that I want to record for our YouTube, and I'll go talk in little 30-second zingers. HR, yeah, makes sense. Okay, all right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.